Barbara Stanwyck was born Ruby Catherine Stevens on July 16, 1907, in Brooklyn, New York, into circumstances that demanded resilience from the very beginning. Her mother died when she was only 4 years old, and her father soon disappeared from her life, leaving her effectively orphaned before she could understand what stability meant. Raised in foster homes and by her older sister, Stanwyck learned early that survival required self-reliance, discipline, and emotional control. There was little room for sentimentality in her childhood, and those formative years shaped the woman she would become. Hardship instilled in her a fierce independence and a deep respect for work, values she carried into every corner of her life. Unlike many stars who grew up sheltered, Stanwyck entered adulthood already hardened by experience. That toughness would later fuel her performances and define her personal relationships, making her one of Hollywood's most formidable and uncompromising figures. From vaudeville stages to Hollywood power, Stanwyck's entry into show business began not with glamour, but with grit. As a teenager, she worked as a dancer in vaudeville and speakeasies, eventually earning a coveted place in the Ziegfeld Follies during the 1920s. These early years taught her professionalism and endurance, lessons learned under harsh conditions rather than studio comfort. Her transition to film came with Broadway Nights in 1927, but it was her role in Frank Capra's Ladies of Leisure in 1930 that announced her arrival as a serious dramatic actress. Unlike many early sound era performers, Stanwyck's acting was naturalistic, emotionally restrained, and deeply human. Audiences responded immediately. Over the next 3 decades, she built a career defined by versatility, portraying women of strength, complexity, and intelligence. She did not rely on glamour alone. Instead, she commanded the screen through authenticity and emotional truth. A career built on authority, not illusion. Across more than 80 films, Barbara Stanwyck established herself as one of the most reliable and commanding actresses of Hollywood's golden age. From Stella Dallas to Double Indemnity, she portrayed women who were neither decorative nor submissive, but forceful, layered, and often morally complex. Her work in film noir, westerns, and comedy proved her range, while her discipline on set earned her deep respect from directors and crews. Though she never won a competitive Academy Award, her influence was undeniable, and she was later honored with an honorary Oscar recognizing her unique contribution to cinema. As film roles for women narrowed with age, Stanwyck adapted without complaint, transitioning into television with the same seriousness she brought to film. This ability to evolve without losing authority would later place her in direct conflict with younger actors who approached the craft differently. Early marriage and emotional disillusionment. Stanwyck's first marriage to actor Frank Fay in 1928 revealed the private cost of her fierce independence. What began as a promising partnership deteriorated under the weight of conflicting careers and personal instability. Fay's struggles and declining success clashed with Stanwyck's rising star, creating resentment and emotional strain. The adoption of a young son, Anthony, in 1932, brought hope, but not healing. Despite Stanwyck's efforts to provide stability, the marriage became increasingly volatile and ultimately ended in divorce in 1935. She retained custody of Anthony, though their relationship would later grow distant. This painful chapter reinforced Stanwyck's guarded nature. Love, she learned, could not be relied upon, and vulnerability carried risk. These lessons shaped her future relationships, including her marriage to Robert Taylor, and contributed to her deeply controlled emotional boundaries. The marriage to Robert Taylor. Stanwyck's relationship with Robert Taylor began in the mid-1930s and quickly became one of Hollywood's most admired romances. When they married in 1939, the pairing seemed ideal. 2 disciplined professionals at the height of their careers. Privately, however, the marriage was more complex. Stanwyck was older, more experienced, and fiercely independent, while Taylor struggled under the pressures of studio expectations and public image. Over time, emotional intimacy gave way to distance. Though they handled their separation with dignity, their marriage quietly dissolved in 1951. Contrary to later speculation, Stanwyck did not publicly disparage Taylor, and she spoke of their years together with respect. Their divorce was not fueled by hatred, but by incompatibility and silence. The true animosity that would later define Stanwyck's reputation did not come from marriage, but from professional conflict later in her career. Entering television on her own terms. By the mid-1960s, when many film actresses resisted television, Stanwyck embraced it with seriousness and authority. Her role as Victoria Barkley on The Big Valley was not a retreat, but a declaration. She approached the series as high drama, demanding discipline, preparation, and respect from everyone involved. At nearly 60 years old, she was a seasoned legend working alongside much younger actors, and she expected professionalism equal to her own. This environment exposed generational differences that would soon erupt into lasting conflict. Stanwyck had little tolerance for behavior she perceived as careless or ego-driven. Television, to her, was not lesser art, and she refused to lower her standards. It was within this context that her relationship with one co-star would become notoriously strained, setting her apart from her otherwise generous reputation as a mentor and collaborator. The clash with Lee Majors. Stanwyck's animosity toward Lee Majors, her co-star on The Big Valley, was unlike any other conflict in her career. Majors, then a young and inexperienced actor, represented a new Hollywood that valued image and charisma over discipline, at least in Stanwyck's view. From early on, she reportedly found him unprepared, inattentive, and lacking seriousness toward the craft. Unlike other young actors she had mentored, Stanwyck made no effort to guide Majors, signaling a rare and deliberate withdrawal of goodwill. Crew members noted palpable tension on set, with Stanwyck openly critical and visibly irritated by his presence. Majors later acknowledged that she never warmed to him, despite his efforts. This was not a temporary disagreement, but a sustained judgment. For a woman known for fairness and loyalty, her enduring dislike stood out sharply. A rare and unyielding judgment. What made Stanwyck's resentment toward Majors so striking was its permanence. Unlike other professional conflicts that softened with time, this one never did. She reportedly refused to work with him again and reacted curtly whenever his name was mentioned. To Stanwyck, Majors symbolized a shift in Hollywood values she neither understood nor respected. She believed he benefited from attention he had not earned through discipline, and she resented producers who framed him as a central attraction. This was not jealousy, but principle. Stanwyck measured worth through work ethic, humility, and preparation, qualities she believed Majors lacked. Her judgment was final. In an industry where grudges often fade, hers did not. It became a defining example of her uncompromising standards and her unwillingness to revise opinions once deeply formed. Strength in retirement and quiet generosity. In her later years, Stanwyck withdrew from public life without withdrawing from purpose. She supported charitable causes quietly, mentored actors privately, and maintained her independence with characteristic resolve. Even traumatic events, including a violent home invasion, did not alter her self-reliant nature. Health challenges emerged, worsened by decades of smoking, yet she rarely complained. She continued working when able, including acclaimed performances in television miniseries that earned her late career awards. Stanwyck valued privacy above legacy building, refusing public memorials or spectacle. Her retirement reflected the same principles that defined her life: dignity, restraint, and self-determination. She remained sharp-minded and purposeful until her final years, refusing to let age or illness define her. This consistency, from hardship to fame to decline, is central to understanding her character. The legacy of an uncompromising woman, Barbara Stanwyck passed away in 1990, leaving behind a legacy defined by strength, discipline, and emotional control. Her ashes were scattered over Lone Pine, California, a landscape tied to her work and identity, far from Hollywood's noise. The story of her enduring dislike for Lee Majors remains notable not because of cruelty, but because of rarity. Stanwyck was not a woman prone to hatred. She mentored generously, worked collaboratively, and maintained respect even after divorce. That she made one lasting exception reveals the depth of her principles. To her, professionalism was not optional, and respect was earned through effort, not image. In the end, her judgments, however harsh, were rooted in values forged by survival. She did not bend easily, and she did not revise lightly. That, more than anything, is what made Barbara Stanwyck unforgettable.